The future of Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is hanging in the balance this morning. Partial results from the country's election show the race is still too close to call, with the blue-white party of centrist Benny Gantz tied with Netanyahu's Likud. So far, neither side has declared victory.
Speaking to his supporters in Tel Aviv, opposition leader Benny Gantz stopped short of declaring an election win. But his address had the tone of a victory speech for his blue and white party.
According to the initial results, Netanyahu did not succeed in his mission. We, on the other hand, proved that our idea called Blue and White, a project we established just over 6 months ago, is a huge success and here to stay.
Gantz said that he would now get to work on building a broad unity government. But speaking to his supporters at Likud party headquarters, Prime Minister Netanyahu did not concede defeat. He said he would also seek potential allies to form a government, but one that excluded Arab parties.
In the coming days, we will convene negotiations to assemble a strong Zionist government and to prevent a dangerous anti-Zionist government.
Exit polls show the two main parties are neck and neck. After 10 years in power, Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing Likud party are battling for political survival. Centrist Benny Gantz has ruled out a partnership with Likud if Netanyahu remains at the helm of the party. 6 months ago, Netanyahu failed to form a coalition government. Faced with losing power, he called fresh elections. Despite predictions of voter fatigue, turnout has been the highest in decades. Israeli Arabs also voted in much higher numbers than usual. Exit polls indicate the Arab list bloc could become the third largest force in parliament. With results this close, Israel faces the same situation as it did in April's election, with Netanyahu and his right-wing bloc failing to reach a 61-seat majority.
Let's go straight to Jerusalem, and DW's Tanya Kramer standing by for us. Tanya, a very close result, a tense result as well. Is Benjamin Netanyahu literally fighting for his political life this morning?
Well, there is a sense here that he has been weakened by this rerun of the elections again, because what he wanted he wanted to obtain those 61 seats out of the 120 Knesset seats to have a majority to build a coalition. Now, he failed that already in April to build this coalition, and now he's running shy of having those 61 seats. So there is a sense here that, this election could weaken him further. He has given a very combative speech last night, saying, Israel is at the crossroads. So he's not given up yet on forming this coalition, though.
Well, his rival is adding to that pressure you mentioned as well. Benny Gantz says he will not enter a coalition with Netanyahu's Likud party if Netanyahu is still its leader. Would Likud drop Netanyahu to remain in power in Israel?
Well, certainly in the running up to the election, there have been reports in the Hebrew media that there have been discussions, of course, about all these different scenarios. But I wouldn't think that you will hear such reports at the moment. There are also some of his close colleagues in the Likud and Likud members who have pledged loyalty to Prime Minister Netanyahu. But I would expect there is such a debate going on, because it would be very much easier, so to say, for a new head of the Likud than to form a unity government. Because, as you said, Benny Gantz from Blue and White has said they would join a unity government if Netanyahu is not any longer the head of Likud.
Okay, now one party that has done exceptionally well is Avigdor Lieberman's secular nationalist party. Is Lieberman the new kingmaker in Israel?
Yeah, I think you could say that, because he already was the reason why the last coalition building failed. Now he has gained from that even more seats. And he already made a speech last night calling for unity government, for a broad and wide unity government. What he said, because Israel needs, in an emergency situation, they need to have a government. And already this morning, again, he spoke about that and already put down actually, what he would like to see. So I think he plays now a major role in forming that new government.
Tanya Kramer, following that very close election today for us in Israel. From Jerusalem, thanks very much, Tanya. Let's talk about this more now with Kerstin Muller from the German Council on Foreign Relations Mideast program. She was a junior minister as well in the German Foreign Ministry. Thanks so much for coming in this morning. What's your take on what's happening in this election? It's still too close to call.
Well, yes, again, the two blocs in Israel are kind of neck on neck, as we just heard. But I think the really big news is that Netanyahu fails to secure a majority. He can't build a right-wing government again. And this is because of Lieberman, actually, Israel Beitenu. He's going to be the kingmaker,
Avigdor Lieberman, let's fill our viewers in a little bit on him. He represents a lot of Russian-speaking voters in Israel.
But this time, not only Russian-speaker voters. This time, he said very clearly he doesn't want a new government with the religious. So I think a lot of secular voters voted in favor of Lieberman. He could double. He doubled his results. So this is really a success. Though, on the other hand, I mean, the alternative to a right-wing government is unfortunately not a center-left government, because in Israel there's a kind of taboo that there won't be a government with the Arab-Israeli parties.
And they did very well in this election as well.
They did very well, and I'm very glad that that the Arab-Israelis went to the ballots. But there's this taboo, and I think in the future, in the coming future, the left has to rethink this strategy, has to rethink this taboo, because the left will never be able to build a government without the Arab Israelis. So the alternative will be a unity government.
There's talks underway right now about a national unity government. Do you see that as a possibility?
Obviously, it seems to be, at the moment, as we see the results, it seems to be the only option instead of a right-wing coalition. There's only one, well, actually a big problem, because Kahol Lavan, the opposition party, which was so successful in this election, said they won't build a government with Bibi Netanyahu. This is why they got so many votes. So they absolutely cannot build a government with Bibi Netanyahu. So this is a problem for Likud. They have to decide if they're going to kind of drop Bibi Netanyahu, which is going to be a problem.
Okay, so there are discussions that perhaps Likud would seek another leader, drop Bibi Netanyahu.
One option.
So are we seeing the beginning of the end of the era, the age of Benjamin Netanyahu?
I'm convinced this is definitely the beginning of the end of the era Bibi Netanyahu. We will see maybe this election, maybe in the upcoming elections. I think that the President Rivlin will do everything that there won't be another third round of election. So there will kind of a big pressure to build a broad coalition, to build a unity government.
Okay, so there will be no further elections on this, and we'll probably see, Kerstin Muller, there's a possibility of a national unity government.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming in this morning and for giving us your analysis.